think I hate this, but I also think it's amazing. I got my feet scanned at a high-tech store to see if 3D printed shoes are the future. Not everyone wants plastic shoes, but this product pokes at a fascinating concept in fashion. Can you get to a point where you just scan your body to order custom apparel on demand? Well, this shoe comes from a startup called Syntilay, and I went on a journey to put this new product to the test and prove if 3D printed shoes are ready to replace your current footwear, and if they're worth your time and money. This is Prove It.
So you do have different feet.
Oh, that's wild.
Let's start with testing how easy it is to scan your feet. In the heart of New York City's Times Square is a store called Tomorrow. It's full of cutting-edge tech products, and on the second floor is a little area to order Syntilay shoes. First, you need to scan your feet, and the scan itself was super simple. You just step on a platform wearing socks, and a few camera sensors are able to measure every curve and angle from heel to toe. Now, a little kiosk screen does guide you through doing it yourself. You don't need anyone nearby, but I did have a special guest with me. It was the CEO of Syntilay, Ben Weiss. In just a few seconds, I saw how my feet were slightly different sizes.
Wow, my feet are different. I'm a 6.5, am I right? I always wear a 7 though.
The only big downside in that moment is that you need a leap of faith that you will like the shoe, because there's not a way to try any on before you pull the trigger and spend $190 on a pair. Now, if you do hate the fit, you do get one free reprint in the first 30 days. Of course, not everyone can get their feet scanned in New York City, so there is an app to scan your own feet with a phone, which I did not try. But the company does want to get more of these in-person experiences inside malls and shoe stores.
We need to be in places that customers are willing to try new experiences like this. That's why we've built this first of a kind, whole operation in this store. But I think it's about just putting this in the traditional footwear stores, giving people an idea of how their feet are actually different, which you saw from the scan. You may not have known that your feet were that different. When you understand that, then you realize the value out of a custom-made shoe, of having a shoe perfectly designed for you.
Now, this particular model of sneaker that Syntilay sells, it is a little bit of a quirky design because it was designed by AI software. You see, making AI fashion is what got the company a bit of buzz in the press recently. But the shoe itself was 3D printed at a factory in Germany by the company Zellerfeld, and they are planning on opening more factories soon in the US, but that wasn't for me. I had to wait. And that gave me time to catch up with my colleague, James Bricknell. He's an expert on all things 3D printing, and he even made some of his own 3D printed shoes out of his home lab, and he came in wearing them to help put this whole process in perspective for me.
If you're going to be printing your own shoe, read up on it. It's not as easy as you might think, and one shoe came out very, very badly, and one shoe came out very, very well, which is not ideal if you're spending your own money on building them.
So let's talk about the speed and quality when buying an on-demand shoe. The whole process was not as fast as I hoped. It took 25 days for it to arrive at my door. Now, it did come from Germany, like I mentioned, so hopefully with more factories, that all gets faster. Now, to my surprise, it feels like a very well-built shoe, and wearing it was comfortable. There are no seams that you can see, and it wasn't slippery when I was walking in wet areas, and it is a little roomy in the front and the back, but my foot was secure, and it didn't feel loose when I was walking or when I was driving. I always wore socks with it, and it felt breathable. I spent a few days taking it around the city on my work commute, or I would wear it doing everyday errands. Now, the company does warn this shoe is not for sports, so don't go running with it. But, I did some short sprints and walks in my neighborhood, and it held up okay. But here's the thing. It is a plastic shoe. Of course, it's not perfect. I like a shoe that I could just slip on, but you can't slip on a rubbery shoe. You have to sit down and wiggle it on your foot. Now, this particular design has less material at the tip where the toes are, and I would prefer a shoe that was harder at the tip for more protection. But the bottom of this, it's very tough, and it feels like it's shaped to my arch. It isn't too hard or too soft, it just kind of feels comfy. In fact, sometimes times, you know, I forgot that I was wearing a 3D printed shoe because it felt normal. I would just go about my day until I looked down and remembered, oh yeah, I'm wearing something that looks crazy. So yeah, we need to talk about style. This is not a great style, at least for me, because this AI design that they are selling is not attractive to me. Look at the front. There is so much sock showing. You can't just wear any sock, you have to plan out your sock situation. I tried it with several socks, and you know, at the end, I just wanted to wear long pants to hide it. And it looks like it belongs on an alien planet. I think that's what they were going for. It's not for me, but the company is planning on making other designs. I just found myself a little shy to parade around with it because it looks like a shower shoe of some kind. Maybe like I have a medical issue, but you know what? I'm not a shoe snob. I usually just shop at discount stores for basic sneakers, and I love eye-catching shoes. But this felt like it was eye-catching for the wrong reasons. So let's review. Is it possible to make something that is comfy and 3D printed and have it fit well? Yes, it does succeed there. But the time to wait and the fashion side of it, it's a bit of a fail for me right now. And I say that also knowing that I am lucky to be able to go into a store and pick up a size 7 sneaker and usually have a good experience. But if you have 2 different sized feet that are harder to find shoes for, then you would probably not hesitate to try this option. I just want designs to have more variation. But even though I am not a fan of the fashion, I do like the promise of the shoe, and I learned a lot about 3D printing and what is possible because it does function well as a shoe. I think I would just keep my biometric data with the company, so when more design choices arrive, I could just pull up my file anytime and print what I want next on demand. Did Syntilay prove it could be done? Yes. Do I want the design? No. But overall, it is a step in the right direction to show us that this is what technology can do. Let me know in the comments if you would scan your feet, or any part of your body for that matter, if it meant that you could get custom printed fashion, even if it does cost twice as much. And please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos of us putting tech to the test. Thanks for watching.